Yo, good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you are tuning into this broadcast. This is Ishues, Coach Ish. Back with another video. Let's talk some boxing. Alright, so we got Deontay Wilder versus Big Zhang coming up. Now, even though I was extremely upset and disappointed at Deontay Wilder's last outing against Joseph Parker. I mean, honestly, for me, I've heard a lot of his excuses and stuff like that. And the thing about the excuses with him is he's made so many egregious excuses that anything other than he was just a better man is not even acceptable. And this is coming from somebody in myself who I've always been a huge Deontay Wilder fan, supporter, whatever you want to call it. I'm not gonna say fan because I don't consider myself a fanatic of nobody, right? But I've always been a huge Deontay Wilder supporter. Huge Deontay Wilder supporter. His whole story coming out of the amateurs, short amateur career, all things aside, what he's achieved in the sport, coming from his background, he basically came into the gym, boxed for a year, a little less than 2 years. He trained for a little less than 2 years after having no boxing experience. He played basketball. He stopped, and he did this in his late teens, early 20s, talking about like 19. I think he started boxing at 19. At 19, that's way too late to start a professional boxing career. Way too late. You know what I mean? According to traditional wisdom. So his career by itself, it's an underrated career. He's had an underrated career. Because to start boxing at 19 years old, which is way too late to start boxing. It's way too late to start boxing. And then box for less than 2 years before going to the Olympics. He had a very short amateur career, less than 2 years, and then made it to the Olympics and got a bronze medal. Late start, short career, bronze medal in the Olympics. People could say, oh, that was due to the competition, whatever. However you want to slice it, at whatever weight class you in, that's still a remarkable achievement. So, after a very short amateur career, he becomes a pro, and then he goes on a 40-fight knockout streak, which is insane. Like, that's insane. 40 fights, all by knockout. 40 wins, all by knockout. I think it was 40, it might have been 39 in a row. And then I think Bermain Stavern took him 12 rounds for the first time. I think that was his 40th fight. I think. It was either his 39th or his 40th fight. Irregardless, almost 40 fights before going 12 rounds. Every last one of them was knockouts. And I don't care what the competition level is, which he's fought a lot of bums and tomato cans, and that's true. But still, to get 40 fights, 39, 40 fights, all of them be knockouts. I mean, and they're all heavyweights. And for most of these fights, another part of him is that he's coming into these fights 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 pounds less than the opponent, because he's pretty much a glorified cruiserweight. Weighs anywhere from 208 to 215, 216, less than 220. Fighting dudes, weighing in at almost 300 and still knocking them out. That's an impressive achievement. Doesn't matter what the skill level is of the opponents in front of him. So I say all that, to say, like, I've always been a huge Deontay Wilder supporter until he started getting arrogant. Until he started getting just too arrogant, saying crazy shit on the internet, Some of the stuff, you know what I'm saying, the whole thing with him and his brother, him sleeping with his brother's wife or girl, whatever. I don't know how true that is, but, all of those things, his losses to Tyson Fury and then the excuses, he made excuses for the loss, and then he went back, the first time he made the excuses or gave the reasons, I gave him a benefit of the doubt. Second time, all right, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then he goes in there and gets smoked 2 times in a row by the same fighter doing the same thing. That's inexcusable. I don't care what the situations is, or that's inexcusable. You get smoked by the same fighter 2 times in a row with him doing exactly the same thing. I don't care what your story is. I don't care what your excuses are. I don't care. That is unexcusable to me. That's unexcusable. That's unexcusable. You beat me one way, you ain't gonna beat me the same way the second time. You're gonna have to beat me another way. You're not gonna do the same thing and then beat me again the same way. Come on, man. So for me, that was unexcusable. I just chalked it up as okay. Deontay Wilder, ran up against, the best dude in the game. I don't really care for Tyson Fury that much personally, but I respect what his boxing ability and everything like that. So you just lost to the best in the business, and a special talented fighter. All right, cool. He's the only one that got your number. Nobody else can do that to Deontay Wilder. Kind of, boasted that a little bit by a spectacular knockout against Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius tried to press press Deontay Wilder the same way. Tyson Fury was pressing Deontay Wilder, and he got put to sleep. And it was impressive the way he did it. So I'm like, all right, cool, here we go with Wilder. Then he fights Joseph Parker. And when I tell you, it was one of the worst boxing performances I've ever seen. It was one of the worst boxing performances I've ever seen. He's pretty much, to sum it up, without going into a whole breakdown of the fight, he spent the entire fight trying to set up the right hand. He spent the entire fight trying to set up the right hand, as if he don't have 2 hands, as if there's, a plethora of punches. Basic punch count is 6. Basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jab, cross, left hook, left uppercut, right uppercut. Basic punch count is 6, right? If you really want to break it down, you know what I'm saying, it's over 24. Really, it's over 24. Over 24, depending on, how you break it down as a coach. But you could really, break a punch count down into 24. You know what I mean? Because all 6 of those punches have at least 4 variations. So, and then there's other punches as well. So, the fact that you're 40-something fights deep into your career, and Joseph Parker's a good boxer. He's a good fighter. I got a lot of respect for him. I'm not huge on him. He definitely earned a lot of my respect over his win against Deontay Wilder and how he did it. The game plan that he employed was brilliant, and he got the job done. But mainly it was on Deontay Wilder for his inability to set up the right hand. And this has been your main weapon your entire career. And now you spent an entire fight trying to set up a proper right hand. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to the point that I was like, I never want to see Deontay Wilder fight again. So I say all of that to say that I had arrived to that point in my last video about Deontay Wilder. Yet here we are. And I do want to see Deontay Wilder versus Big Bang Zhang. I think this is a very intriguing matchup. They're both pretty evenly matched. They both have one-hitter quitters. They probably have 2 of the best one-hitter quitters in the heavyweight division. It's probably Wilder, Big Bang Zhang. You could throw Joshua in there, and who else in the heavyweight division? You know what I'm saying? You could probably throw, no, not Dubois. Yeah, kind of, maybe. But top 3 is Wilder, Zhang, and Joshua. So I would say Jilly Zhang and Wilder have the two hard. I mean, if you want to throw Francis Ngannou in there, you can. He hasn't proven that in boxing, but he has proven that in mixed martial arts. I don't know if his name is still in, if he still considers himself a boxer or not. But bottom line is, Wilder and Zhang got the two biggest, one punch straight right hands in the business. Then it's gonna come down to who's gonna be able to set it up the best. Man, I would like to come on here and say, I got Wilder for the win. But based on his last performance and his inability to deal with just basic things, I don't know, man. Because the same way, because Wilder has been beaten, like Parker beat him up. Wilder has always been, or used to be, very durable. But I think because the durability of fighters can become a gift and a curse. And I know that because I used to train a very durable pro who had to retire because, playing that durability card after a while, it breaks you down physically. The human body has limits. You know what I'm saying? The human body has limits. So I think Wilder's durability, because he used to be very early in his career, he used to be very, very durable. I mean, just sit there and take shots and smile at you. That type of durability. And I think because his lack of attention to defense, because of that durability in that right hand, I think now he's compromised. I think Fury compromised him. I think Fury beat him up so bad that now he's compromised. Because when Parker was hitting him, and Parker's not even the biggest puncher, like he's not, in the heavyweight division, he's not a big puncher. He's not a big puncher at all. He got skills, he got fast hands, he got good movement. He's not a big puncher. He's not a big puncher. And he hurt Wilder a few times in that fight. Wilder was able to stay on his feet, but he hurt Wilder a few times. And that was part of the reason why he lost that fight, is because, every time he would try to enact some sort of game plan, Parker would hurt him. And then he'd be on shaky legs and staggering a little bit and gotta pretty much go into survival mode. So when I seen that, I'm like, okay, he's compromised. Wilder's compromised. He can't take a punch like that. And Zhang, I believe, is the opposite. I think Zhang is very durable still. He hasn't shown any signs of compromise to me. Still like he can take a punch. His only problem is that he sometimes runs out of gas. Well, fortunately, you in there with Wilder, who fights at a slow pace, which is insane to me because when I watch him train, he trains at a fast pace. He's a bewildering fighter to me. He's one of them dudes that you see him work out and do all these different boxing tricks and all that. That's why I be like, a lot of that stuff people be doing in the gym, like that shit is gimmicks. That ain't gonna help you in no fight. You know what I mean? The fast punches and all this other, it's a bunch of stuff that I could point out that I see a lot of fighters do, or trainers train fighters do, that looks good for the camera, but it doesn't cross over well, or it doesn't apply well in real life, in a real fight. You know what I mean? So like I be seeing Wilder do a lot of little shit that is like, okay, and then whenever he fight, he don't do none of it. He don't do none of it. You know what I mean? So like you just doing it just because it's cool little tricks and all that other stuff, but how does that, because based on all of the stuff that I seen him do in training with Malik Scott, he should have smoked Parker. He should have smoked him. Smoked him and then stopped him. Should have smoked him. But he ain't applied none of that stuff. None of that slick movement and defense and all that you be seeing him do. He ain't applied none of that shit. So I've never seen him do anything besides what he always do, which is walk forward and look to set up the right hand. I've never seen, despite all of the different training methods and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like he honestly, because the first part of his career, he was improving every fight. Because pretty much the first half of his pro career should have been the second half of his amateur career. So he was improving, but I think after all them knockouts, you know, I mean, it's one thing to knock out 20 people straight, but damn near 40 people straight, you mean you're set in your ways now. Like you know, you just relying on that right hand. So I think he just got to the point where he just conditioned himself into that so much that it's hard to condition him out of it. So based on that, you know, I could look at what he's doing in training and think, oh, he's gonna be fighting at a higher pace or doing all this other shit. And I hope that's the case, but based on history, he never does it. So based on the Wilder that we always see come out, I give Zhang a real shot of stopping Wilder, because I don't think Wilder is going to be able to hold up to them punches, because he's been taking them big ass punches from big punchers like Stavern and Duhaupas and fucking damn, what's his name, Areola, and you know, a host of others. You know what I'm saying? That he's taking big Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? Tyson Fury established himself as a puncher in the Deontay Wilder fight. You know what I'm saying? Because people thought, you know. So I give Zhang, especially watching, you know, what Zhang did against Joe Joyce. To me, that's what I fall back on. His last outing wasn't that impressive to me, but the way he took care of Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce was on a run. Joe Joyce was solidifying himself as the third most dangerous heavyweight in the business. You know what I mean? And looking to take on, you know, like niggas wanted to see Joe Joyce against Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? And he dispatched Joe Joyce handily 2 times. And Joe Joyce is a high energy, high output fighter. So the way he beat Joe Joyce them 2 times, smoked him too. Smoked him the first time, stopped him the second time, like obliterated him the second time. So if that Zhang comes to bang, Wilder gonna have problems on his hands. You know what I mean? Because I just don't think that mentally he's the same fighter that he used to be. So, you know, we'll see, but I got Zhang winning this fight. You know what I mean? So that's all I got. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's talk about it. Peace.